Hello, welcome to our story today. We've got a nonfiction story called A Community Garden. Now, when we read this story, I want you to pay attention to the different steps of the process of building the garden. So I want you to try to listen and try to figure out what the people building the garden do first, what they do in the middle, and what they do last. We've talked about this at school this week where we want to be able to put the events of a story in order from first to the middle to the last event. And we're going to be doing that with this very short story today called A Community Garden. Let's read to find out more about how building a community garden can help make the community better. People plant gardens to improve their neighborhood. Let's see how they do it. They pull out the weeds, then they get ready, then they get the soil ready for planting. Many people help out in a community garden. So this is the part I want you to start to listen to very closely. We can see this clue word first, and that tells us that the next sentence is going to tell us the first job that they do when building the garden. It says first, they dig up the soil. Next, they plant flower and vegetable seeds. Then they water the seeds. So listen to this little section one more time so you can really remember the steps that they do in order for helping this garden get set up. First, they dig up the soil. Next, they plant flower and vegetable seeds. Then they water the seeds. And our caption here says plants need water and sunlight to grow. That's telling us more about the plants in the picture. Volunteers go to the garden each day. They enjoy working together. They make sure the plants have everything they need to grow. The garden makes the neighborhood beautiful. And our caption says, our garden is a good community project. The vegetables are fresh. The flowers are pretty. People share the flowers and vegetables. How could you help in a community garden? Our captions say flowers, vegetables, and we grow enough to share. So, if we go back to the events in the story, the first job they did was they had to dig up the soil. That makes sense. Before you plant plants in a garden, you need holes to put the plants in. After that, they would put in the seeds for flowers and vegetables so they could grow. And last, they would water the seeds. Okay. If you put these events in the wrong order, it really wouldn't make much sense. If you watered the soil before you dug it up and put the seeds in, would that make sense? No. Should you put the seeds down and then dig up the soil? No, that doesn't make sense either. You have to dig the soil first, then you put the seeds in, and then you water them, just like our story showed. Now, I want you to think about all the different jobs that we saw people do in the garden. There was people building and setting up the boxes for the garden. There were people digging the holes and setting up the soil. There was people planting the seeds. There's people watering the plants. There are people checking on the plants to make sure they have everything they need to grow. And there's people who even get to pick the fruit and vegetables or flowers and vegetables that were grown in the garden so other people can enjoy them. Those people help share the things from the garden. So think about those jobs. I want to hear which job you would pick if you had the chance to help out in a community garden. Thank you for listening.